it's ironic. What? That you love me now when I'm not around. Ain't it funny? Ha. Say you want me back, but I'm over that.
DokidoCon first opened its doors in 2017, the same year I went on hiatus from conventions, and has been held in Kalamazoo, Michigan every July since, other than 2020. With it only being a 3-hour drive from my house, I knew I absolutely needed to check out DokidoCon 2024 to see what all the hype surrounding this con was about. This is the official Convention Reviews DokidoCon 2024 review. DokidoCon is currently a small con. I can't give exact numbers on exactly how many attendees were there this weekend, but when you're at a small con, you can feel it. Remember that small does not equal bad. It just means more intimate vibes, which can sometimes be much better than the wild, exhaustion-fueled big cons. So for this review, I'll be judging DokidoCon as a small con and rating it in comparison to other cons of similar sizes. The location gets an 8.5 out of 10. DokidoCon is held annually in the Radisson Plaza in Kalamazoo, Michigan. We actually loved the look and vibe of this venue. It uses a sleek, open, multi-level design that incorporates nice verticality as opposed to spreading out across a bigger area. On top of that, it just kind of looks cool and feels like a nice place to hang out in. Pretty much all of the actual con stuff took place in the basement, however, which is okay, but it does mean the con is a bit smaller than it looks in video, as the actual con itself only used about a third of the venue. We did see at least one other big ballroom on the ground level, which might be a nice place for them to expand into in the future as the con continues to grow, but only time will tell. As for how it was set up this year, we did think it felt a bit cramped, but at least it looked cool, right? As for parking, it's pretty easy as there's a garage connected directly to the Radisson Plaza via a sky bridge. This, however, may not be the best choice for everyone due to the price. Since we had never been in this area before, we really didn't have any idea where else to park and learned the hard way that this hotel only validates one car per room. And even with the validation, it still costs $20 per night. For our other car, it cost us $40 per night. Actually, it isn't just the parking. Considering the size of this con, the hotel itself is pretty expensive too. Now, I will say it's a pretty nice hotel. Everything about it was wonderful. I'm just letting you know that if price is a concern, there are quite a few other cons of similar sizes that won't break the bank nearly as much for upfront costs of things like the hotel and parking. This means more money you can put towards the dealer's room. Food didn't seem to be a big issue with this location either. There are a couple of restaurants and a Starbucks located right inside the con. But when searching outside, we also found a Japanese restaurant, a Mexican restaurant, Subway, a Jimmy John's, and a few other options close by. DokidoCon was actually doing some sort of a collaboration with this little bar, restaurant, gaming place nearby called LFG. If you showed them your badge, you would get 10% off whatever you ordered. And I gotta say, their udon was really good and super filling. Organization gets a 10 out of 10. I don't remember any of us having a single issue relating to organization the entire weekend. If you did, let us know about it in the comments below, but I can only rate this con based off my own personal experience. Every single main event we attended either started right on time or very close to on time. Badge pickup was incredibly easy and I never really saw a line for it the entire weekend. I do personally just wish they would use the guidebook app if they really want to have their map and guide online, but that's just a very small personal complaint. Honestly, there isn't much to say here. It was really well put together. Good job, guys. The dealer's room gets a 6 out of 10. I hate to say it, but I think the dealer's room was the biggest downside of DokidoCon 2024. First, the good things. I did really like the room they used for it. It felt like the right size for the size of the convention. It also felt well laid out, and there was definitely some interesting stuff in there. That being said, we felt it was pretty lacking. They basically mixed the artists with the actual vendors, which I'm not at all against. The issue came when we realized that like 80% of the booths were artists and maybe 20% were actual vendors. Those numbers probably aren't accurate, but that's at least how it felt. This means there were very few options when it comes to things like figures, wall scrolls, manga, wigs, cosplay, and other staples of anime con vendor rooms. At the end of the day, it wasn't bad, but I would hope for a better mix of vendors and artists in the future. future. I do want to mention here the swap meet garage sale type event they had Sunday morning in the main events room. This is the type of event where con attendees basically brought their old stuff and were able to sell it, in most cases at a super good price, even considering it was all used. We were actually able to find a much better variety of goods here than at the actual dealer's room, so don't skip this one next year if you love to shop. The game room gets an 8 out of 10. The game room itself wasn't a bad size considering the size of the con, but it absolutely wasn't huge. They had a good variety of PCs, consoles, and arcade games, though I would have loved to see more arcade games, but more on that in a second. Some of our group did take part in the Mario Kart tournament they held on Friday, and that seemed like a really fun experience. Of course, I wish they had Guitar Hero, but I guess I can't expect every con to have it. Overall, it was pretty good, just a bit lacking in the arcade area. That being said, I want to mention LFG just down the street again, as if you buy food there, they give you tokens to play their arcade games. And once we started playing, we never ran out of tokens, as other con-goers kept giving us their remaining tokens after they finished eating. So while technically not a part of the con, it did help supplement one of the things the game room lacked. So keep that in mind. Main events gets an 8 out of 10. All the main events we attended ran smoothly, and I gotta mention the main person who hosted things like opening ceremonies and the masquerade. Their energy was amazing, a natural born host. Please let this person keep hosting these sort of events, as they were one of the best and least cringe hosts I've ever seen at a con. They had all your normal events such as the masquerade, electronic dance party, and a formal dance. We just felt that even though all the main events were very fun and ran very smoothly, there just wasn't a lot going on with it. For example, the Harp Twins had a concert every day in the main events. Now, this is no hate on the Harp Twins at all. They're awesome, but it helps show the lack of variety happening in the main events. Outside of the main events themselves, DokidoCon was running a scavenger hunt, team events between 3 different teams that lasted all weekend, a maid cafe, sword classes, and a few other things I wasn't able to personally experience. I do think these type of events were absolutely able to help supplement the lack I felt in the main events. Very unique and a great idea from the organizers of the convention. Staff get a 10 out of 10. Not much to say here. We had absolutely zero issues with any of the staff. They all came off very nice and helpful, even joking around with the attendees over the weekend. No one we ran into felt like they were on some type of power trip, and even the hotel staff was incredibly friendly. All in all, no complaints here. The electronic dance party gets a 9 out of 10. DokidoCon had just one dance party, which took place on Saturday at 9 p.m. As far as the DJs themselves are concerned, we enjoyed all of them. They all brought a different energy, and it was fun feeling that switch every hour. The reason it isn't getting a 10 is 2 things. For the first DJs, it was absolutely too quiet. Then for the second one, it was too loud. We kept having to back away from the stage as it legit hurt. Then they maybe managed to figure it out by the third DJ. The other thing was just how the stage was set up. They had this little part that extended out past the rest of the stage, which was actually really nice during most main event panels, but during the dance made the DJ seem really far away and kind of split the crowd up in a weird sort of way. They did have a dancer on there when we first walked in, but that did not continue throughout the event. All in all, not a big problem, but it probably would have been nicer to just remove that part of the stage during the dance. Oh, also water. The water was all located outside the room and ran out during like the second DJ. I have no idea who was responsible for keeping the water filled, but running out of water during the electronic dance party is a bad look at best and dangerous at worst. This was my first time at DokidoCon, and I have to say, I wasn't disappointed. It's a really fun small con with a lot of great ideas and nothing but time to grow ahead of them. While it wasn't a perfect convention experience, it also wasn't bad by any means. It's a very well put together con that I highly doubt anyone would regret attending in the coming years. At the end of the day, I give DokidoCon 2024 an 8 out of 10. I look forward to seeing how this con grows in the future, as they have some of the most interesting ideas I've seen in the con space recently. I really believe it isn't just a catchy slogan. DokidoCon is truly a convention with heart. You can feel it in the staff, you can feel it in the ideas, and you can feel it in the vibes of the con itself. Keep an eye on this con. I hope to see you at DokidoCon 2025. Stay nerdy.